I want to ask you about your, you went to great lengths to kind of talk about all of the people who you have learned from, both in your formal education and as artists. And you now are a teacher. How do you, and you mentioned Ingrid specifically saying that you really applauded her willingness to teach beyond ceramics. How do you approach teaching and your influence where you are in your career and how you're working with younger people?
Yeah, I always try to ask students, what are their stakes? What's the motivation that creates the ambition, And if they can pinpoint the things that are important to them, not necessarily what they want to make or why they want to make it. It's like the kind of almost like the ideological house that they live in, So some of my students feel really strongly about painting, and other students feel really strongly about poverty, And so, in this moment where what defines an artist could be so many things, so much more than, say, in the 40s and 50s when it was like painting or sculpture. Once students can kind of identify things that are important to them, then I feel like I can help them think about how to give form and material life to their thoughts, But if they start with form, I'm afraid that they might just mimic. And so we try to, I have pretty advanced students. We try to start with the thinking part, What are you thinking about? What are you feeling? What's happening in the world? And then how do we give form to some of those feelings, But I think also by putting students in an environment where we're all a little bit out of comfortable waters and above our heads, and we have to kind of get from discomfort and overwhelm to form and to beauty and to balance, And so creating environments that are uncomfortable, like even coming to my studio, which is a pretty overwhelming place, and just saying like, hey, let's make sculpture in 10 minutes. Go for it. Anything you find, make a sculpture. And just like, making it a really palpable and immediate opportunity as much as it could be cerebral and an idea could take 20 years to germinate.
And can I ask, was that like a planned, like make sculpture in 10 minutes, or did you walk into your space and say, okay, we're going to be inspired by it? Or was that something like very considered? Like, this is how we're going to get warmed up today?
I think when I have a syllabus, I leave a lot of space for like reading students and figuring out what their jam is. But I could tell for a student who treats work a little too preciously that they probably need to make 10-minute sculptures.
Yeah, sure.
And then others who are too rushed, they probably need to spend more time writing things down. So it's really just trying to, listen to students and where they are in their practice and process, and pushing them as much as I can to kind of get to new outcomes.